Perfect, thanks. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:01. Start with minutes. I sent out those earlier today. If anybody had a chance to look those over.
Yes, I did, and I did not have any changes.
Yep, just finished. Looks good.
Okay, I move that we approve the September 9th MTC meeting minutes as is with no corrections.
Seconded.
And yeah, let's go around the room. Angela,
Aye.
Orla,
Aye.
likewise, aye. Okay, let's walk through the. Let's walk through the town warrant, the warrant for the fall town meeting, and share it. This is the current latest warrant, as of a few days ago. Article 1 is a zoning bylaw. We're not involved in that. Gulf revolving funds, cemetery commission. I don't think any of those have any related technology. What water tank site remediation? That's not related technology either. And the personnel bylaw, likewise, don't affect us. Adjustment for tenure non-union employees. Funds for the McAuliffe hearing room. So and that's also the SAM operating budget. And I think just number 12, and this is what Jay and I have been discussing. So this is Article seven. No. Personnel board.
I think, was it after that?
Sorry, I had it right up here. That is Article 8. 3, 8, here we go. Okay. So the specific sum is not in here. We have, think Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but basically we've solicited a bid, or we are soliciting bids. We've received one full bid back with the config that we're interested in. We're waiting for others. The hypothesis right now is to take that bid, maybe pad it a little bit, just to give us a little bit of flexibility, and request that amount. We have not yet decided on the vendor, and we will request from town these funds, and that's basically once we'll proceed working with Jay and evaluating different vendor solutions, and then we'll evaluate it as an MPC, which of the solutions is best, but at least we'll get through town meeting and have the funds appropriated. So, we'll still be involved. Yeah.
We have two quotes.
You have 2 quotes?
Yeah.
Okay. And did the second quote, did they get back to us on the reconfiguration with that we requested, including the ceiling mics and the Zoom Intelligent Director?
Yes, they did. I'm sorry, can you hold on for 1 second?
Sure, yeah, take your time.
Matt, can you just state again, this is was this one for the McLaughlin conference
The call of
room?
hearing room. Yeah.
Okay.
Hearing. Basically, the idea is right now, there's no way, there's several problems with it. There's no way in fact, let's walk through what those are. One second.
I'm sorry about that, guys. We're still talking about the same thing, correct? Okay,
yeah, we are.
I just want to make sure. I left for 2 seconds. One thing I want to bring up before we go on to, obviously we need to relook at the quotes, especially with the other vendor. The quote, I have the quote that we originally got from them that I forwarded to you, I think about a few weeks back.
Yeah,
had-
back in August.
Yeah, that had they had the addition with the Zoom Intelligent Director. Okay.
Yep.
So in that quote, the vendor specifically in there identifies that according to Zoom, we should not put the Zoom Intelligent Director inside of this room. And that if anything does go wrong, they will not support it if something does go wrong. Since then, I've
Go ahead.
I've had a conversation with the vendor and with Zoom. They have a person at Zoom that they discuss this with, that works there, and they highly recommend that we do not put this inside of this hearing room. They feel that it will not work correctly, it will not do the right thing, and that if something does go wrong, they will honestly not support me in any way to correct the issues. Now, with that said, I personally do not want to go in this direction because at the end of the day, it's going to fall on myself and Hassan to correct any issues if something does go wrong.
Is it a
and I do
room
not want that
configuration issue? Is it because of the way the room's built that they don't think it will work well?
Yeah, it's the way the room is built. The Zoom white paper that they have on this is configured for a specific type of size room. No matter which configuration they have on there, it's for a specific type of conference room. It's not for the room that we currently have in place. It's just they cannot guarantee service. They cannot guarantee that it's going to work correctly. So I am on the side of I do not want to put something in place here that is not going to work correctly. Because at the end of the day, it's gonna fall on us if something breaks, and I do not want that responsibility as it is. The fact that a lot of this may fall on the IT department is already kind of fearful for me because I don't want to have that, I'm not an AV person, I'm, an IT person, but I understand it can fall under that umbrella, but I'm not a professional AV person to go in there and correct an issue if something goes wrong or if it's not working properly. And the last thing I want to do is see the town spend money on something that does not end up working properly at the end.
And just from my knowledge and catching up a little bit, so when you say Zoom, it is an AV system.
Yep.
As opposed to what we're on right now. Okay, so it is a AV solution. However, based on our configuration, they're recommending that it would not be a good fit.
Yeah.
Specifically,
Okay.
the
So,
intelligent director. That's what we're
specifically
discussing.
the intelligence director.
Either way,
yeah.
it's going to be a Zoom room. So
Yes.
this is Jay. I'd love to have this discussion. I'd love to be involved in those conversations. In fact, I'd like to have a conversation specifically with the Zoom employee. From my understanding, reading the contract that you had sent previously forwarded from this vendor, they said it was all pending their discussions with Zoom because they had not yet been able to reach out to Zoom. You're basically saying that they have since reached out to Zoom. I would like to have a conversation directly with Zoom and discuss them with this. My concern is we all share the same concern. Like we want this to be as simple and automatic as possible so you do not get called in, and we're in fierce alignment on that. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm asking about Zoom Intelligent Director, because the Zoom Intelligent Director will follow people's faces around the room and have individual framing of individuals on it. Whereas static PTZ cameras are specific locations, and it doesn't allow for automatic tracking of faces. So in terms of automatic and keeping people in frames versus out of frames, and telling people, no, you need to shift a foot to the left so you're centered on the frame, and so forth. That is the whole purpose of Intelligent Director. So you don't have to have these static configurations. So I think we're aligned on what the requirements are. We want it to be automatic and there not be human involvement. I just want to have that conversation with Zoom.
And have we got other alternatives for the intelligent solution, or no? Zoom was the only option that we're aware of.
So there is, as a matter of fact, the cameras that they have in there are the cameras that they have in this quote. I believe it was with this quote, are intelligent cameras where you can configure them to do intelligent actions where they can follow and track if you
Yeah.
want them to do that. It's the Zoom Intelligence Director that's kind of the addition to it. That's where, you know,
And I assume the Zoom Intelligence Director, though, is what's controlling the cameras.
yeah, that would be the
capabilities.
application, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah. But you can have another application controlling the cameras in some type of a, you know, AI
Yeah,
way.
an alternative to Zoom Intelligence.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. And do we
Yeah.
know if there's others that are available that are better, or we
That
haven't
we do
explored
not
that?
know. I do not have the answer to that at this point, but I would definitely look into that as well with
Okay.
the vendors I'm talking with.
So, so I would propose that we support this article, and you, Jay, you have, I presume, a amount you already have that we're ready to put in this article. I would propose that we take a vote tonight to support the article, obviously contingent on two things. One, getting a third quote. And by the way, I finally, it was hard, Jay, but I finally got a hold of Black Box at that
Okay.
company that, and
I've heard of them.
yeah,
Yeah, I've heard of
not easy to get a hold of.
them. Okay.
I finally got a hold of somebody locally, and I will forward them on to you.
Okay.
Unless you and let you do the outreach and coordination and so forth. Just
Okay.
because we're spending this considerable amount of money, it'd be good to get a third quote.
Yep.
And then second, I'd be interested in talking to one of the vendors' Zoom contacts and chatting about specifically Intelligent Director, so I can understand more.
So, sorry, Matt, are all the quotes for Zoom Intelligent Director? And
No.
we're asking the town to approve a quote amount on a system that we don't think will work in the room?
No, none of the quotes
No.
are based on Intelligent Director currently.
None of them are based on intelligent. So what is the quote based on then?
So one of them are the one that I recently sent over to Matt recently from
Okay.
CC or CNC, the original company that Matt and I had spoken to. That quote, since our conversation with Matt, they did update the quote and they inputted the Zoom Intelligence Director into that quote. And that's where I'm talking about. In that quote, they redlined specifically that they could not support if anything, you know, happened with this, if it didn't work properly. In other words, they wouldn't be able to support it. But yeah, still, so that quote was one of the quotes that definitely had the Zoom Intelligence Director inputted into it. The other one that I have from the company that actually did the room at Public Safety, they do not have the Zoom Intelligence Director in that quote. It's just the
And do you remember roughly what the cost was, Jay?
yeah, the one for the one with the Zoom Intelligence Director was about 108 and change. 108,000.
You know what the Zoom Intelligence uplift was, or?
I can tell you it's probably about $4,000 to $5,000 because the reworked quote I got again without it was about 104. So
Okay.
yeah, so I
No,
would say
and
about,
just because I did a quick chat GPT, and there seems to be a bunch in that range, but like there is a number that have good reviews, etc. So
yeah,
I guess including owls, which I have used
Yeah.
the owls,
Yeah.
but that is more
Absolutely.
manual. I
Yeah,
feel like
I've
the
definitely
setup of that's not ideal.
we had the owls set up when I
Yeah.
initially started with the town. I actually purchased the owls to try to get us because we weren't
Yeah.
even at the point where we were doing meetings. We were kind of doing a hybrid approach for the select board, and they were
Yeah.
coming to the townhouse, and I had bought them, and they were doing the job for a while, and then they would just constantly break, and people couldn't get them to start correctly, and then I think people
Yeah,
started
no,
throwing the
they're
owls out the window.
Yeah. My
Started getting a
goodness.
little frustrating. But yeah, it's and that's essentially where the problem is with this intelligent director, and even in all of the configurations that they have with Zoom on their white paper on this, they're all conference rooms. It's no matter how you look at it, it's a conference room with a leveled roof and a leveled side walls and walls in front of you, walls behind you, whether it's an oval table or oblong table or some type of desk in the middle or something. It's always the
Yeah.
same type of configuration that they had in any of their documentation. And that was their reason why they just didn't think that this was going to work inside of the room that we have.
Okay.
We used to run into that a lot with Cisco in the early video conference days, they would have very, very specific specifications for room layouts that were mandatory to make the systems work well. But do you feel comfortable that given the quote we have now with some level of, you know, add-on, will that cover even if we go for a different type of system? We don't have a risk of being under budget and not having enough money to cover whatever the final solution is?
Yeah, yeah. So even in the quote that I have initially, so kind of to rewind a little bit, when we first started talking about this over a year ago, the approach was to integrate what not integrate in the sense of the cameras that they have in there, but to kind of coincide with Southborough Access Media. So if they can start their meetings still, excuse me, because in contract they are in contract to do the select board,
Yes.
you know, the planning board, the ZBA, they still are in that contract. They're obligated to do those meetings. So when we initially had started all of this, it was to keep them in the loop with it, kind of integrate our systems with their systems, but we would still have the ability to do, you know, like an ad hoc. Excuse me, I just got over COVID last week. I'm still trying to
Oh,
get over everything.
oh,
Um, where you know, if we had to do an ad hoc board of health meeting or something, we could just go in there, hit start,
Yeah.
start the meeting, and still take control of the cameras on our own. So in that quote, they had incorporated the gooseneck, the current gooseneck microphones that are in there to kind of plug into the system, so they would have the sound coming from that. So the difference I would say is, because even in the quote they provided us, they had the roof microphones, um, excuse me, and the roof microphones were mainly to take the audience feet, like if the audience
yeah.
had something to say that they could listen to them, but the gooseneck microphones would still be required for them to get whomever is up on the front. And that was one question they asked me today was, should we include like a new set of microphones for the front for the people to speak, because those microphones on the roof will not hear the people
Mm-hmm.
at the desks. They would have to, you know, have some type of microphone at the desk so people can hear them clearly. So there could be that increase their cost of whatever microphones we might need to put there, or if we just incorporate what's already there in the quote with the gooseneck microphones that are there. So that could be an increase in cost. And the last vendor, the other vendor that gave us the quote, which was the one that did the public safety building, their quote was a little bit lower currently, because we haven't spoken to them as far as like the Zoom intelligence director and all this other stuff. And even with their increase of the tariff increase, which they gave me a requote with the tariff increase in there,
Right.
it still was significantly lower. So if we needed to even work with them and maybe tweak, you know, how we approach it, we would have a buffering zone in there as well. But also I can tell you this, I know for a fact that the current vendor has a 2-year contract for support that's like roughly about $8,000, and 3 years for about 10,000, I think it was. So my assumption is whatever I do with the other vendor or any other vendor after that, I'm gonna end up paying some type of support because I want support for this system. Um, so we would have to kind of buffer for that as well, whatever type of support line we'll end up getting. Um, because again, I don't want to be caught with, you know,
Yeah.
no support if something does break with any of this equipment.
I would just want to go in asking for the right amount of money so that we felt like it would cover whatever the final solution is, and there was no chance we'd have to go back and,
Yep.
ask
So
again.
the good news is tonight that, and that was what kind of why I'm kind of, you know, waiting to see if they do need me for select board, but it was mainly to kind of understand, should they just keep what they have in there in the warrant, which is just a sum of money, and we can literally up to the last minute update what that amount is going to be, even if it's on the floor when we're at town meeting. So that can happen. So we have this time frame right now between now and town meeting to kind of rework what that number is going to be between now and then.
Okay.
So I would propose that we support this article contingent on, obviously, uh, well, whether we put a number in here up front, or whether we put a number in right before article, but we support the article and get the MTC support contingent on before the order is placed with the vendor of choice. And of course, obviously, we want to get a third vendor quote. So we have apples to apples comparison, but contingent on MTC's review and approval of the appropriation and the selection of the technology.
I think this is an accessibility thing. I mean, we definitely heard about this in some of the surveys from citizens that they wanted to be able to listen to these meetings. They wanted to be able to have good quality, audio and be able to, listen to them remotely on broadcast. So it feels like it's one of the kind of important objectives to make sure everybody has access to this information.
Absolutely. Something needs to be done. Things are highly broken.
Yeah.
The fact that only Sam can basically run meetings in there, and even the public safety building. If you've watched public safety, the meetings from public safety, that's highly broken as well. I do like the ceiling array of the public safety building, but the camera is terrible. Like you're viewing so far away, you don't have individual shots, and that's the purpose of this, right? This is this document we put together a year ago to describe what are the problems. The local panelists have problems seeing. They have to turn their heads to see the screen behind them. Local attendees don't have continuous view of the content being shared. The boards and committees can't start the meetings on their own. The audio is terrible. You give the HVAC blowers and the gooseneck microphones. People don't remember to turn the microphones on, and remote attendees can't see clear view of the panelists as if they're in the room. And so we definitely, this is exciting that we're moving forward with it. We just want to make sure that if we're spending $100+ grand on technology, we're solve the problem. We're not sort of kicking the problems down the road.
Absolutely.
And we're finding the best solution, inclusive of absolutely ensuring that Jay is as little involved and it's as auto magic as possible and stable and robust as possible, without requiring attendees to follow very strict protocol and where they have to sit in the room and what process they go through, right? They just should hit a big button saying start meeting, and from there on out, it's automatically recorded. The cameras / system automatically syncs and highlights where they are. For example, I'll give you a demo right now. The new Mac, I don't know if any of you use Mac, it has this ability for basically the camera, automatically, it's called center stage, right? If I turn off center stage, it zooms out, right? But if I'm over here, I turn on center stage, the Mac itself will try to zoom in, etc. Intelligent Director is sort of like that. It'll take a camera feed of 3 or 4 people and divide it into individual streams in Zoom, as opposed to what most camera systems are. You see 4 people side by side, or 5 people side by side in one stream. It's considered one participant in Zoom.
One thing I will say, and I don't know if this is being thrown into the equation here and thinking about this Zoom Intelligent Director, is the fact that there isn't just a standard select board meeting where you have, the select board members and then maybe a person comes up and talks. Like, we have like swearing ins that happen there, and presentations where kids might come in and get, presented something by someone. And so my thought on like squaring off people and putting them in a box and having it do that for anybody that's in the room, like, to me doesn't make sense because of the events that happen inside of there. they could be, you know, the town clerk could be standing up, swearing in an officer, and the whole family's behind them, and they're watching that whole thing happen. Or, you know, and just like I said, like they'll have the events where the children come in and they're giving them awards, and they have them all there in front, and that's why, you know, it's important for Southmore Access Media to move cameras around and make sure everyone's in the angle and they can all see people getting sworn in or getting awards and stuff like that. So as much as I appreciate what Zoom Intelligent Director can do, its limitations to what type of events happen inside of this room is where my concern really comes into play. Because if those events are happening and Zoom is just boxing everyone into, you know, this type of thing, how does that help what's going on inside the room?
So that's where I think we need to learn more. And that's why I'm asking we have a conversation with Zoom to learn more about it, because to me, it's sort of the opposite way. If you are proposing static PTZ cameras that are fixed on particular locations of the room, then either you need a human like Sam to control with their joystick where it's focusing on, or the shots in the cameras is going to be messed up. It's not going to get what you need. It's not going to get the faces because the cameras aren't automatically detecting where the humans are. So the question is, do we want static, basically static shots, which are not configured properly and are probably chopping people out and not capturing the dynamic nature of the room? Or do we want the computer, the system, to automatically discover where people are and make sure people are in shot? So this is where I think I'd really love to have a discussion with Zoom on capabilities and or lack thereof of what Intelligent Director can do. And maybe I'm reading their documentation wrong. Maybe the research I've done is wrong, saying it can't be that flexible and we need to go with something more static. That's fine. But this is where I think I want to work with you, Jay, on finding the ideal solution before we pull the trigger and spend $100,000 and end up with something that takes another human for another 8 years before we spend another, do the next upgrade. And it's a significant cost. So if we're going to spend the money, let's do it right and let's find the right ideal solution.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely don't want to spend the money and do it wrong. Absolutely not. I definitely want to get it correct. And that's where my concern is, right? Because then we'll end up getting this in place and then it's not doing what we want it to do. And then it becomes
yeah, and we don't want
what
that.
happened, Jay?
Absolutely not. So
and that's what I don't want to happen. So
yeah, this is where I propose that we spend more time. Make sure let's spend a little bit more time doing the research and have you and I, Jay, asking the right questions of the vendors, multiple vendors, and by voting in support of this with those contingencies, saying we're going to support this at town meeting. And if somebody asks us why, somebody stands at town meeting, why are we spending $100,000+ on this when taxes are going up and everybody's obviously up in arms about the tax increases and how much they're paying for real estate taxes. We can be in support of it, say, look, we are in partnership with Jay, and Jay has agreed to, basically before we pull the trigger, we're going to spend the right amount for what the town needs. And the MDC will review it before we actually procure it.
Yeah, and I do think then, to the extent that Angela said, we can tie it back to some of the feedback we got from the user survey. I think that's important too, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll come armed with that.
Yeah.
So people ask questions like, okay, here's the reason why, fellow citizen, why we need this is because we have feedback. Our people in town are asking for it. And it's all about really participation in local government. People don't feel connected. So if people see a blurry, 480 resolution picture with a bunch of faces, they can't even make them out. They can't participate remotely. They feel disconnected. So having much higher definition faces, people they can recognize, and two-way participation, and likewise the panelists being able to have monitors right in front of them of the remote participants, that goes a long way of helping all the town residents feel like they're much more connected with town, and they feel like their voice is being heard, so they don't feel as disgruntled. So yeah, I will bring that, and happy to quote that.
I would throw out one
meeting.
more thing, Matt, and I don't know if this is just a little bit too much, but you know, you can envision that these recordings are one day going to be historic documents that will be searchable and discoverable. And, you know, we'll have the transcripts of all the meetings. And if that audio quality is poor, you know, we're just not going to get very good transcripts of that. And, you know, there will come a day not too far in the future where we'll be able to chat against all this data. And, you know, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to be able to go back against all those recordings?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's where everything's going. Is it
Yeah.
should be all high quality audio, high quality video, and
Yeah.
this is should be in the record. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So Jay, are you amenable to that? If we, you know, that agreement, basically we want to support it. If you can agree to basically before we pull the trigger or anything, we review and vote as the MTC.
Yeah, no, again, I just, I want, I want us all to be on the same page, right? At the end of the day, I don't want to be the one that's saying no, 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 and then there's like this push and tug about which way we're going. I just want to make sure that we, you know, and I've stressed this before in the past to you, Matt, like at the end of the day, it's me that's there that's got to deal with the issues that come up when they do come up, right? And I believe me, I lean on you guys a lot more now, you know, than we first started off with, obviously, with the you know, when I first came on board. I trust that you guys have, you know, good guidance and you have your backgrounds that can assist me in many ways. So I don't want that to be a push, you know, a push in the wrong direction. I just want to make sure that whatever we put in place is not going to be like, hey, Jay, we're doing it this way and that's final. And it's like I want you to you know, at least hear my input on this. I want to make sure that, you know, whatever we do is gonna at least help both, you know, both parties here. And you know, I want to make sure that the town is taken care of going forward, but I also don't want to make my day-to-day life or Hassan's day-to-day life, you know, miserable going forward if like things are just not working right. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest concern about all of this.
Absolutely. So ideally we'd have, I mean, yeah, we would want to make sure there's sufficient budget to do it the right way. And
Yeah.
this is where, again, I think that you and I, Jay, do take this offline, meeting with the vendors, review, but then of course we come back to the MTC and present together unified. I think I truly believe you and I working together with the vendors, we can come to agreement and present back to the MTC saying, hey, here's what we did. This is, you know, what we decided on, and then have the MTC vote on support.
And I think similar to the DPW discussion, I think having that set of criteria, right, that helps because then, which is obviously the capabilities, but then the support that it's independent, etc. Because I think then if we put all that down on paper, then the data kind of tells the story ultimately.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
absolutely. Documented the criteria. I love that. And yeah, I love Orla. Thank you again for putting together that list and for the DPW discussion. So I think moving forward, we should definitely drive things based on that decision-making process. Okay, so I'd say I move that we support the town meeting article as is, or basically with a placeholder amount that Jay will work with vendors to come up with. Obviously, with the agreement from Jay, that's before the actual money is spent, that we'll review and discuss MTC, and we'll vote on it as MTC to move forward the appropriation. This is something we're all excited for. So I think, anyway, I move that. That's what I move.
Second.
Okay. And that was Angela. Okay, let's go around the room. Orla,
Aye.
Angela,
Aye.
Yash.
Can I abstain on this because I was not there for the full discussion on this point?
Okay, sure. Yep. Okay. Great, thank you. Let's go ahead and go over town web property feedback. I have that up in front of me this time. We don't have anything actionable this time. I do still there's still the previous actionable feedback we received in August that I owe you, Jay, some details on that one, on accessibility, mostly around accessibility um, of posting and usability. So, but nothing new. So let me make a note of that. User journey collection feedback. Okay, I've done some analysis in this, research in this area of collecting our user journeys across all the different town web properties. We have at least 4, probably a lot more. Right. We have the senior center, we have library, the main town website, we have MyRec, and I'm sure we have other websites out there. There's a lot of obviously commercial expensive solutions that will help track user journeys and do analytics across them. But discovered that the most recent version of Google Analytics can allow us to track across different web properties, including this can be used in conjunction with some free Microsoft services for dashboarding. So I'm going to, and by the way, our main town website, of course, run by Civic Plus, they already use Google Analytics for themselves, their own Google Analytics to track just the southborough.ma.gov. And they occasionally share output from that, the analytics, with Jay. But obviously, it's a manual process, right? They don't give us direct access to their dashboards. They just share sort of dumps from it. So, but I've discovered that we actually could run, obviously let Civic Plus continue to do whatever they want to do with Google Analytics, but we can add a second Google Analytics tracker that we run on our main website, and we could do the same tracker across all the other websites. So a sort of unified dashboard of journeys across down websites, hit rates, refers, who's coming to the website, where are they coming from, those types of things. So I'm interested in starting to put something together and work with Jay and basically just getting some footers in place, right, across the different properties, which we already have a little bit of with our pop-ups, the feedback requests.
Yeah.
Those are footers that we've inserted on different web properties, but we can just insert some additional code on the web properties and roll it up to a single dashboard. So I can work with Jay on that.
I thought, Jay, in the initial Civic Plus contract that they committed to giving us some kind of just basic monthly usage metrics. Is that right?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I can pull that information anytime.
Is it just like a file dump, though? It's not like
Mm,
anything that's easy to, or is it more of like an actual report?
It was a Google Analytics. I remember in the beginning I was
Yeah.
giving those to you guys. It's from Google Analytics. It's their account from Google Analytics, and I just log into it and see the data,
Okay.
the raw data pretty much. And I'm positive in the beginning I was able to provide to you guys, and it wasn't really like something. I think Matt was like, "This isn't really giving me too much what we wanted to see."
Mhm.
So it's just a basic, Google Analytics. But at
Okay.
any time I can always go back in there and pull some of that. Again, if you want to see it. I just haven't been in there myself in a little while.
Yeah, I was just curious if we could just get it from them if they already have it set up. But if we're trying to track across properties, then maybe we need a little bit more telemetry than what they have in place.
Yeah, that's key. We want to track across multiple properties,
Yeah.
as opposed to each one being an island, and we want to understand who people are clicking through between different properties. So yeah, that's where I think we should run our own instance. And again, where I can tell it's low cost, no cost, basically.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. So yeah, Jay, I'll work with you on that, getting that set up. Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Analytics across web properties? Okay. DPW cameras and license plates based passes. Orla, do you want to chat about
I
that?
had a question on that, I guess, and So since the last meeting we had, since this forum, the last time we had the meeting with Bonsai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for others, we had that call with Bonsai, who provided an overview of their capabilities, which were different from what we had seen from the initial vendor. Now I'm trying to remember back to their overview and the follow-ups we had, because the one question I had, Matt, was they sent an email saying they'd share a video, and then you'd responded saying the video wasn't attached, and then I went looking for the video the other day and I still couldn't see it. Did they ever send that?
I think they did. Let me look it up
Okay.
right now.
Because I think
Yes.
so we've had a couple of conversations. I think there's high level alignment on some of the capabilities. I actually have set up time to visit with the DPW next Wednesday to do the review of the strategy and the if any input on questions for the survey. So my plan was to also tackle that topic there, because it's not clear to me right now in terms of next steps.
Yeah, that's a great question. I just forwarded to the whole MTC this email that basically it just contains a YouTube link
Oh, perfect.
for
Yeah.
a video of advertising Bonsai Logic. Jay, have you had any more additional discussions with Bill on this topic?
I did. The last conversation I had with him was about 2 weeks ago. I went over to discuss with him like what, kind of wanted to make sure like where we were in the process and see where he was going. And I think he had a lot of other things on his plate at that moment. So he was like, I'm going to be submitting this for, for the spring, either Springtown meeting, or he said possibly if I don't get to that point, it could be the fall town meeting for next year. So that's kind of where he said he was going to submit it to Capital and at least get a footnote into Capital that this is what they're looking to do. With obviously with all the quotes that we've gotten already, and kind of just having a base understanding of what the wiring is going to cost to get the internet up there, and with that quote I gave him, and the Verkada quote. So he just wanted to at least set a baseline, but he didn't seem like he was like next steps were happening tomorrow type of thing. So that's kind of where Orla, if you have a meeting with him next week and you want me to be involved, by all means, I can definitely.
Yeah, no, you're more than happy to join. I will let you know it's at, I want to say it's next Wednesday, maybe around 10 or 11 in the morning.
Okay.
I will double check and send you across.
Yep. I just know that it's kind of in his ballpark at this point. It's where it's at right now.
Hey, we definitely want to make sure, Orla, when you speak to him, that the MTC is still involved, obviously, because because it's net new, it requires our vote and review and so forth. So we'd love to find out where he's currently thinking, and be as supportive as possible, and finding the right solution for the town.
Yeah, and because from memory with Bonsai, it had one capability, but not another.
It didn't have the generic camera. It's a purpose built specifically for license plate reading and basically the passes. And it had the self-service pass.
Okay.
Yeah.
It had the self-service.
But it wouldn't track if you were throwing a paint can into the.
Exactly.
That's what I was trying to remember. Yes.
From the first or second vendor that we spoke to, I think it was I know the name was Verkada. They seemed like they had the whole package: camera system, license plate reader, the whole nine. That was one vendor, at least I know, that had the whole package. Bonsai seemed like it was just a license plate reader, and I can't remember about the first one that we spoke to. I think they were kind of piecemeal as well. I think
it was just camera, adding
just
cameras.
Camera. Like software. I think it was like a software that could attach to a camera that was in place there. So Verkada seemed like so far was the whole package. Like they had the cameras, the software, the license reader. And I know that Bill definitely appreciated some of the features that Bonsai had when it came to like the being able to charge and stuff like that. So, I don't know, maybe it's a piecemeal approach that we go with something like this, or it
Or
becomes
yeah,
one
two
vendor,
solutions.
but
Yeah.
I can tell you at least the Verkada one had the whole kit and caboodle when it came to everything that they needed there.
And there's another one called Vidio, VAIDIO. It's what they use at Gillette. But because I remember when I was there doing an overview of their tech, and it seemed to have everything also that we're talking about now. So that's another one we could explore. But we can chat with Bill next week and see where we're at.
So it'd be good, Orla, and I think I shared a copy of this with
Yeah,
you.
that we start to
but
fill this in. Yeah.
fill this in. Like these, once again, we should be tracking the requirements. What are
Yeah.
our requirements as a town? What weight do we give on those requirements?
Yeah.
And what do each of the vendors have? Lumana, Verkada, or Bonsai Logic, plus some other
Yeah.
camera system like Wise, right? So I will. Would you be okay taking this and discussing this with Bill
Yeah.
and filling it out?
Yes.
Great. Great. All right. Because what's important, in fact, by the way, moving forward, before we speak to vendors, it'd be good to align with the different departments on columns A through D.
Yeah.
Like, what are our requirements before we talk to vendors, and before we start being converted to whatever religion A, B, or C, or D. Let's understand, what are we trying to achieve as a town? What are our goals, and what's the relative priority between those, and
Yeah.
put weighting on them. That way, we are fully sort of agnostic as to whatever vendor solution meets those particular,
Yeah.
needs. Where it's data driven, right? Okay. Orla, let me know if you need a new copy of this. I'm happy to send it over as Excel. And thank you
We
for.
sent it before, right?
I think so.
should
Yeah.
have that. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks for driving that. Any other comments from anybody on this topic? One other comment from me on the DPW stuff. I know, Jay, are you still working on getting the replacement hardware for that in the DPW for the control system?
That's already in place. That once they signed the contract and got that going, they already got it in place and up and running.
Okay.
Oh no, wait. Yes, they signed the contract. They were still building the device last I checked.
Okay.
I have to check with them now to see if they have it in place. But my point was they already had it like signed off and ready to go. I just don't know if they
Okay.
have the actual device in place there yet.
Wonder if you would be willing to look into something like this to put the equipment in that is locking,
Mm,
physical security, as well as filtration.
mm.
Basically it's a wall mount, floor mount, or whatever mount enclosure, and it provides the physical security as well as the protection from dust and debris.
Mhm. Have you seen
So-
that office where this computer is in?
No, I just heard it was in an office and not. Yeah.
I ask because it's definitely. I will look to see where we can force this box into. It'll be kind of
I don't.
difficult.
How high are the ceilings? Could it be put high up in the corner?
Not that high. It's a drop ceiling too. Yeah, we'll have to see what we can move around to put something like that in there.
Okay, if there's some closet it could go in or something.
Yeah, there's no closet nearby. It's like literally it's like right next to a mechanic bay.
Okay.
It's a very small office. And I mean, if anything, we could probably put it under the desk because currently, where it was sitting was on top of the desk inside that room, next to a filing cabinet. So I'll look and see where we can probably squeeze that in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be highly advisable. Yeah, just from
No, I agree
protection,
with
like
you
I say.
100%. I agree with
Yeah.
you 100% because that place is like, you want to talk about dust mites and dust balls. It's not their fault, right? That they're DPW. It's just it can definitely get pretty dirty in there very quickly.
Come for the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I'll
Awesome.
definitely look though.
Thanks. Let me take some notes on this. All right. We've already discussed meeting room technology. Super excited about that. Obviously, I think we're fully aligned in the end goal, making everybody's life simpler and have it be automatic with zero, industrial strength, with zero complications and without needing to pull in, call Jay for emergencies. And I'm super excited about this too, because whatever we roll out here, it's going to be hopefully after we showcase this and show how it improves, we can roll it out to other facilities. The senior center, hopefully redo the meeting room tech in the public safety building to improve it, etc. So, open meeting management system. I have not progressed on that. That's the discussion. I think I need to discuss with you, Jay. I want to have a discussion with Civic Plus about their capabilities, but I also interested in possibly just using our Office 365 licenses and building out a simple form workflow for people to request posting meetings. And I think anything's going to be better than our current process of emailing meeting agendas to post. So so I will that.
That would be, and I will just say that is definitely something that the town clerk's office will 100% be involved in. And especially as far as the decision-making process goes, 100% would be in
Absolutely.
in their
Yeah,
ballpark.
yeah. And we've met with them a few times with as well as Al, discussed their requirements and so forth. And I think it's basically on me to progress forward and propose something. But before we propose doing something in Microsoft Office, I do want to give Civic Plus a chance and say what do they have in the roadmap and what are they working on. So I'd love to schedule a meeting with them and UJ.
Okay.
All right, other departments, Youth and Family Services. I think, Angela, you had worked with them recently.
Yes, Sarah and I went through the strategy, and they were in alignment with the strategy document. She was interested in looking at the survey questions to see if there was anything that they would want to add. We also talked about the survey that they recently had this year, the one that went out in paper, and it was actually more than a survey. It was interviews, it was a public forum, and the next step of that is to kind of do a big readout of the information that they collected. And it wasn't necessarily so much about services, it was more about like, how are people in town feeling about basic mental health and things like that. So that could be a quite interesting readout and give us just some more data into the types of things that are concerning for citizens in town. She still, I believe, is in terms of pain points, struggling with just, they've made some massive improvements, but it feels somewhat disconnected in the way their technology is working. She did reference specifically the senior center app, and seemed to feel that it was quite outdated and just not really functioning as well as they would like. So I documented this in that email, and Jay, I haven't had a chance to catch up with you. I don't know if there is anything new on the senior center app, if we're on the latest version, or if there's already conversation about trying to find something that might replace that.
That was not a discussion that was had recently, but also if I'm not mistaken, senior center application is a cloud-based solution.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's an update, it should be the most current version
It
that's
would just come out.
Yeah.
All right.
Just be
Just
whatever version
doesn't sound like it's very user-friendly, not very intuitive. There's a new person that they've just hired in their group who she said is very tech savvy. And so she was going to send me the name of that individual so that we could schedule some time and talk more. She thought that person would be a good kind of bridge between like what they're trying to do and how the technology is working. But what did she tell me? She said that Jay and Hassan are so responsive that we have an inside joke that Hassan lives in the closet or is hiding in the closet or something. It was really
Whenever you
sweet.
need him, he just pops
Yeah,
out like
exactly.
Superman, puts the cape on, and
Exactly.
solves the problem.
We try.
Everybody I talked to had really nice things to say, which I thought was just terrific. The gentleman at facilities did as well. But yeah, I think those were the major things that I learned from her.
Yeah, and their new employee that they have there, she's very eager and
Right.
very knowledgeable with technology, and I mean to the point where she was showing me things that were inside of our office
Awesome.
products that she was utilizing, and I'm like, wow, okay, like I didn't even know, and let's just say I didn't know anybody
great.
was trying to use it, so I was really impressed that she was using it, and she was working with it, and I had to actually turn on some features for her to get her, I knew because no one wants to use them, right? So
Yeah.
it's like when someone's asking for them, please, by all means,
Yeah.
let's turn them on because we're paying for them, right? So,
Right.
no, she's very eager to get that department to the next generation, let's say, because
That's terrific. That's
and so
great.
that's really good news, and I've
Yeah.
been like pushing that as much as I can.
Yeah.
She had a bullet list kind of similar to what you've written up here
Yeah.
of items that she wanted to do with technology. And I went over there for like an hour and a half with her and just said, okay,
Awesome.
let's turn this on. All right, let's try that.
Yeah.
All right, this doesn't work. Let's turn this feature on. And so far, we're at a good place, but I know she keeps on growing them in that department. So it's been really good to hear.
Well, they're doing so much good work and they have so many critical services. And I think the thing that they really struggle with is people in the community don't know all the stuff that's available. So their big focus, I think, on trying to use technology is really like, how do we get the word out that these things exist and they're there and people can utilize them? So I definitely think that, we'll catch up with the new person and see what kind of thoughts and ideas they have. And Jay, I'll certainly invite you to those sessions so that you can be part of those if you want, or I'll brief you after.
Yeah, so I was actually going to join you guys last week, but that's when I got sick. So it would
Oh,
have been
okay.
a good idea.
Yeah,
So
no worries. The note, I mean, the note summarized
yeah,
everything.
no, I
So
appreciate that. Definitely.
yeah.
Okay, great. Um, uh, you met with somebody else as well, Angela, is that right?
John Parent of
That's
the
right.
facilities group.
Okay.
Similar, I mean, they don't have huge technology issues, and basically he gets all of his stuff funded through grants. So they don't generally have to come through the town to ask for much money. It doesn't sound like either. We talked about the Internet of Things sensors that were being put into all the new buildings. He has a very solid plan for upgrading stuff as it ages out. Um, and I think the systems were called MBS, Management Building Systems. And, so again, I mean, in terms of like, collaboration or survey or things like that, I mean, their services are more town infrastructure and not so much town citizen facing. But still, great to check in with him, and it really sounds like they're, just kind of heads down doing what they need to do, and they don't really need us for anything right now.
And are they involved in all town buildings,
Yes.
including like the the library, I'm assuming?
I mean, he mentioned public safety. He mentioned, a number of the buildings, and like some of them, he said they're not upgrading because they don't, the town doesn't know what they're going to do with them yet. And so unless they have a 5-year lease outlook, they're not going to upgrade the tech in that building because it's a 5-year tech lifespan for these systems. But yeah, that was my understanding, was that he was in charge of all the town buildings.
How about the community house?
You know, we didn't go like
Discuss that. Okay.
building by building,
Yeah.
but
I don't think so. I know that.
maybe not. Is
Really?
is that B?
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say, I know
B.
he's really close with B, and
Yeah.
they may support in some way to help her. But I'm not 100% sure on that one. That's the only one. I know he also doesn't do anything with the schools either, as far
Right.
as I understand.
Yeah,
far
I
as
think the schools are outside scope.
The reason why I asked, because I know, John, one of the things we've discussed, and I know you've been working on it, Jay, as well, and it's part of this meeting management system, is moving our reservation systems to online. And I think John Parent has maintained his own list. So to reserve certain rooms in the past, you had to work through him. But I think have we converted those over since, Jay, to Office 365 reservations?
Well, yeah, the majority of the rooms in town are through Office 365. So, but what I mean by that is like the main rooms, like public safety, the hearing room, um, like not even. I'm trying to think of the senior center, because in the senior center it's a little bit different because of the events that they have there with the seniors. No one's really wanted to open that room up as far as like allowing other people to just book it without going through the senior center. So that might be something, especially with the new director. She's very open to technology, versus how it was prior. So I can have that discussion with her and adding that room to that calendar base. But prior to that, it was never in there because they were like, you need to talk with us directly because they have so many different events that go on in there that they want to make sure it goes through them before they book a room or something. So, but yeah, that I could foresee a change happening there, especially with the new director.
Great. Yeah, and it'd be good to, as we have discussions with each, that's for the whole committee, as we have discussions with each of the groups, discuss if the more we can unify how rooms are reserved, rooms in the library, rooms in the current rec center down south, right? Today you have to call the rec department, or you have to call the senior department, or some you have to call the facilities. Whatever system we have for automating, making it simpler to reserve rooms, to post meetings and so forth, it needs to be digitized first. We can't have the human in the loop for having to, it makes it more difficult
I
if it's
assume
not
right now
digitized.
there's no visibility online, is there either?
That's another problem. There's no visibility
Okay.
online, even for board and committee members. If
But-
for the O365 there is visibility. Yeah.
The thing I could say to that is no one has ever requested to any of those rooms for. I think the MTC was like the one time I think we had a meeting inside of the senior center, and even when we did that, John was like, "That's odd. Like no one really books this room for anything." So, no one's really like ever asked for those rooms for those particular things. Even at the rec, at recreations, they have that room upstairs, but it's mainly for internal if they have a meeting or if they're having an event with children and they're upstairs, or they're having pickleball going on in the other room, and they know what's going on inside that room at all times. So I would say that part. I think everyone's always known that they're going to have a meeting at public safety. They're going to have a meeting at the hearing room, maybe occasionally at the library when the library has the space in there for them. But no one's really ever booked, at least that anyone's ever communicated to me, saying, "Hey, we're going to have that meeting over at recreation today, or we're going to have that meeting over at the senior center today." No one's really requested those rooms. And
Marcia,
the other part of that
yeah,
is that a lot of the meetings have been on Zoom, so no one's really requested a room. Most of the
Yeah.
meetings have been like this.
I'd say maybe the reason why they haven't requested because they don't know they exist.
Yeah.
That's true too. That's true too. That was my next comment to that.
It's about knowing people and knowing who to call and
Yeah.
so forth. That it creates inefficiencies fundamentally. And the reason why I ask about who runs B, the community house and its reservation system, wondering if one of us would be willing to work with B and think about if we can potentially digitize the reservation system there. And this is not just for boards and committees, but just for any events. The reason why I say that, I don't know how many of you follow Facebook, but I've been
I
following
know the
Facebook.
post you're talking about.
Are you? Yes.
The woman
So I
was
don't-
trying to book the community house and she couldn't get a response, and people were telling her to track B down at Dunkin' Donuts and stuff.
Exactly. If you want to get a B, you don't call her. You go to Dunkin' Donuts on Tuesday through Thursday, and she'll be on the stall on the right chatting with her friends. That's how you reserve the community house.
I saw that. I
Really?
was like,
It's not
wow.
Really?
future-proof.
Exactly. So, yeah,
And honestly,
exactly.
this is new. Like just hearing that's news to me that the town even did those functions or anything like that in
It's
that
for a
community
kid's
house.
birthday party. I guess
Yeah,
you can
I
rent it
wasn't
out
aware.
for like,
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
rent that's the whole purpose
Yeah.
of the community house. You rent it out. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of like the events like that that happen, like that would happen there. So yeah, that's and again, I don't even know. I personally just don't know who's in charge of the community house, like who's responsible for the community house. I don't know that. I would have to. John probably would be the first person I would go to and say, hey, like who's in charge of this house?
I can follow up with
I can
John,
talk
and
with
if
him
he
too.
says B, then I can talk to her about
Yeah. But I'll tell you, B is
what
not
their
the
thoughts
most
are.
technological person to to
I mean, you'd
advance
have to
some way.
have some kind of credit card security system. I mean, you wouldn't
Yeah.
want people just booking it
Yeah,
and then like not showing up.
Yeah.
But I mean, she also lives there.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
think we need to
yeah.
understand, like, is it done according to her schedule, or
Yeah.
like what are the parameters of the policies around it?
That's all good information that I have no clue about.
All right. I can look into that and research it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I completely agree with what you just said, Angela. Ideally, this would be a system that allows people to use their credit card to reserve a date if it's available with a
Yeah.
human in the loop review. Basically, B
Yeah.
can approve it or disapprove it. Obviously, B can be in charge of the master schedule about which days are available in the first place.
Yeah.
But she's still in the loop about whether to review, and approve the particular event. But obviously, the more self-service, the more it can be done via
Yeah.
online credit cards, the better. Yeah.
Another room I just thought of that is obviously not available at this point, but at some point I'm thinking that they're gonna do something with the I honestly don't even know what they're gonna do with it, but that schoolhouse behind the townhouse that's been sitting there idle since historical moved out of it. I don't even know what we're gonna be doing with that, but that would be a really good meeting type area for meetings going forward and scheduling that.
Didn't we put fiber in there?
Yeah, yeah, I got internet in there for the
Oh
historical
my
committee and
God. And
everything.
then they left.
And then they left.
I didn't realize they left.
a
I
switch,
remember that was one of the
fiber.
very first things when you started,
Yeah,
that they
yep.
were like, they had to have fiber.
Yeah, we got it in there and then they left. Must
It's
have
a
been the
small
speed.
space, but yeah, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
fine for a small
Little
group.
meeting area. Yeah,
Yeah.
small group for a meeting area or something. Yeah.
Do you think John controls that one too? Do you think?
I'm positive he's responsible, if anything, for maintenance, if anything, on that building.
Okay, I can ask him about
Some of
that
that
one
too.
as well.
No.
Thanks. Awesome. Thanks for all of this. This sounds fantastic. All right. Any other people did anybody else chat with? I know, Yash, you wanted to chat about rec. Are you there?
Yeah, I
Yash?
wanted to know if we have received any format of information of what kind of technology, which vendor was approved for the rec center, and what was the basis of that. So essentially, any information that can flow, because
You mean the
Yeah,
regional dispatch center, right?
Correct.
Not Southborough
RECC.
Recreation.
No,
You mean
yeah, RECC.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Regional Emergency Communication Center. I'm guessing we haven't received anything. Jay, have you heard anything recently about it?
I just know that they meet. I think it's like every other week they're meeting. Like a lot of things have been moving forward. I was just sort of informed and not informed that I mean, not like officially, I'm saying informed that and I kind of knew this, that a lot of the technology would be removed from the IT department, which would be like the servers and installing the computers into the like laptops into the cars, and all forms of being responsible for dispatch would be removed from the IT department, which I honestly have no problem. Just before I got on this call, I was dealing with dispatch and the phones and the that one PC that constantly maxes out because of the utilization of the different devices that are talking on there to run plates and all this other stuff. So, believe me, one less headache and and one less on-prem server we would have to worry about. So that part I do know, but not so much more. I they don't really keep me abreast of what's happening with all that.
Who should Yash talk to learn more about it?
It would either be the chiefs, plural, either one of them, or even the town administrator, which attends all of the meetings as well.
Okay.
So
Mark
that
Purple.
could be an option. Yeah, that could be an option with discussing it with them, just to kind of get updates on what's happening. I
Yeah,
do know
because the
that
question remains that is it still under the MTC purview or not?
I do not believe it is. From what I
Okay,
understand,
then I feel it is moved away from this meeting scope. So,
yeah, I don't believe it is. From what I understand, it's all internal conversations with the different towns that they're involved with.
yep.
And like, and I'm not even involved. Like they don't even get me involved with any of the conversations. So
Yeah, so
it's
if
just
that, so that's a good thing. If that is the current or the status that
you know,
the MTC is, it's out of our purview, then it's moot point even to go and speak about it.
Yeah.
because they vote on the applications that they're like. There's like a group of them, and they actually vote on the application that they're choosing for dispatch. They're voting on the equipment that they're purchasing. They're voting on like it's a committee that's doing all the voting on all of the
Yeah.
stuff that
Okay.
they're
Cool.
doing.
The question is somebody from town involved in that? That sounds like Mark's involved in it.
Yes,
He's a voting member, is that correct?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay, is anybody
Okay.
advising Mark on that?
It's mostly the police and fire chiefs that are they're also involved with it 100%, and they're voting members in there as well. So it's a lot of it is just their discussions internally that they're having about what they're doing.
Okay, so this is, I mean, we can review the MTC bylaw, but my feeling if people in town, the chiefs, Mark, are making decisions and voting about technology decisions that will ultimately be supported by taxpayer funds within town, that should require support from the MTC and review from the MTC. But we can review the MTC bylaw.
Okay. I don't think from what I understand, like they're the deciding factors in all of this.
I understand
that's not
that.
for me to know.
Yeah. I understand that what they have been doing, but I'm just trying to say what the town has voted for in supporting the MTC and requiring the MTC to be involved in technological decisions. We simply want to make sure we are supporting what the town residents have asked for. And so that when this comes up in town meeting, which it will, right, to vote in favor,
There's some awareness.
there's going to be somebody who says, these millions of dollars we're spending, has somebody reviewed the technology of it? And
I think that they technically, I don't believe that this is coming back to town meeting for anything. I think it's already been voted on and approved, and it's moving forward. That it was like in the last, like, I think it was like
Yeah.
2 meetings ago, it was already voted on and approved, and however it was written inside of that for the town meeting.
that article.
Yeah, that article is how they're moving forward with it. So I don't think it's ever going to come up again because it's already been passed.
Okay. Great. Yash, would you mind having a chat with the chiefs about this and discussing? And before you do that, I'm happy to review the language of the
Yeah, absolutely.
the MTC.
I'll write an email to you, and then we can decide on what is the formal verbiage of that.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks. All right, other departments and tech updates for tonight.
I have time tomorrow actually, because I just scheduled a last minute with Ryan at the library. So Jay, if you want to join us, you're more than welcome. It's at noon tomorrow at the library.
Okay. With Ryan, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was also just a check-in to say, same conversation in terms of the strategy and then anything they'd want to add to the survey.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Phone system. We were super excited about that one. Are you planning for spring for that?
Yeah, that's the plan. I haven't heard anything back from when Capital is looking to meet with me. But once I know, I know that they've already started talking with directors about their projects. So I just haven't gotten an invite from Jason Malinowski about when that invite would be.
Okay.
And I will
Okay,
tell you
great.
this, after I just got my new contract for support for the next coming year, we need to move to this system because I've noticed like an extreme increase in support
Really?
since I've started. And I have I was dealing with a phone issue too when I just before I got on the call that we're dealing with because of systems that are just not where they need to be. And the fact that we're going to be paying as much as we're paying for support and this is going to be obsolete in like a year or two. Yeah, we definitely need to get to the next place and quick. So
Awesome. That's exciting. Any
Yeah.
other, I think as our last discussion, there weren't any other significant tech changes for town meeting in the spring. Is that correct?
nothing more
Your understanding?
besides that.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides that in the hearing room.
Okay. All right. Anything else from any other departments from anybody? All right. Anything on the strategic tech plan?
Sorry, nothing new.
Okay. Surveys, once again, huge apologies for getting I sent out the current draft of the satisfaction survey. So if everybody wouldn't mind reaching out to respective departments and see if any comments, questions, want to make tweaks to it. We do like keeping the baseline as standardized as possible. Once again, the original survey was a professionally drafted survey that a variety of cities use. And we've used that over a course of years. But if there's additional like annual temporary questions that departments want to add, that they're more of a one-time thing for that department, they're interested in knowing something of the population, we can certainly add those.
Matt,
So-
I got disconnected for a second. No, my brain's frozen. So the survey, good, but so you're saying we want to keep the core set of questions similar. So I assume we can note
if
that
possible. I mean,
here.
it's everything's negotiable.
Yeah.
If the survey question is really bad and we really don't like it, we can certainly change it. But the fact that it was created by a very expensive consultancy for some large cities, and
Yeah.
they're all using the same survey, and the fact that we use the same survey, those in core questions over several years, we'd like to be able to do
Yeah.
a trend analysis.
Trending.
That makes it like let's keep those core questions the same. But if a particular department wants to add questions just for this year because of some sensitive topic or topic they want to learn more about, they're thinking about making some decision and they need input on it, we're happy to add those as needed.
Perfect. And then when are you looking to get the survey out?
Would like to have it done this year. So
Okay.
I was hoping to have it, I should have had this out to you, to everybody in this group earlier. So I was hoping to have it done in October and have it across maybe 3 weeks in October.
Yeah.
But maybe we should target, give us one more MTC meeting to review into November, and then we'll run it sometime in November.
Gotcha.
after that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the satisfaction survey? Great. Anything else I missed on today's agenda? I don't think I did. I've gone through all the agenda items. Let's take a look at pull up our schedules, if everybody could. Find a time for our November MTC meeting.
Wow, November.
Matt, before you go there, just one quick question on the town meeting. So what's the deal with the clickers? Are they being used, not being used? We had talked about
Right.
maybe seeing if they could be tested with Trottier.
Great question. I need to reach out. Jim had reached out to me to discuss. I haven't found time to do it with him. Jay, you may know more, but he has been working with the vendor. He's got a better, they're called skins, the covers for them to make it more intuitive for
Okay.
users. And I think they've been doing some testing. And the goal would be, if they do use them, if I'm understanding, the goal is
They
to
are.
try. They are okay.
They are. Yep. They are planning to use them. They have been testing them. He's been testing them as I mean, last week as well, and today as well. He actually had some students in helping him with some testing, and also some volunteers in helping him with some testing. He also has the head tech for the company coming in for the meeting that day. There is a plan to shut down any 2.4 gigahertz that are blasting out inside of that room. He coordinated with the IT director over at the school department. I am hopeful that it's going to be a successful event with getting these going. And I know that, as far as I understand, he's also had the discussions with the
Moderator.
with Paul, the moderator, with Paul, about getting this going even as soon as the first vote, and also giving them more time to make that vote, and not just like a 10-second, 30-second time frame. Made no sense. But I know that's one of the bigger conversations, is giving them more time to at least get that vote in. So yeah, the intention is, and as far as I know, even if the conversation I had today with Jim, that he intends to reach out to you, Matt, about this, which he's just been really flat out, I think, with trying to get this going. So we had a conversation just this morning about it, and he was talking about reaching out to you and working on the testing and stuff too. So
great. Yeah, happy to help there.
Yeah.
And provide support, because it's gonna come up.
Absolutely.
Beginning of some controversy about whether we should be using them and so forth. So this is the more we can be as open as possible in how they operate, and about the deficiencies in the past and the problems in the past.
Yeah.
The better. Yeah. Great question, Orla.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we schedule or comments before we schedule our next meeting? Okay. Everybody's schedules look like, obviously, the later we get into November, the more challenging it is. What does everybody's schedule look like for, say, the 4th November?
I cannot do the 4th. Or the 5th or the 6th that week. I'm got work commitments.
Okay.
Not the entire week of 3rd November.
I'm traveling
about-
the week of the 10th and the 17th.
Okay. So Angela can't do it the 10th, and it looks like Yash and Orla, you're not available the week of the 4th.
4th.
How about
Yeah, 3rd.
the 3rd? Is that right?
Oh, sorry. I can do the 3rd. I don't know. Yeah, sure. You out for the full week?
No, I'll be out that week.
Full week. Angela, you're out both weeks, the 10th and the 17th. Is that right?
The full weeks. Yeah.
Okay. And we're not going to try to do it on Thanksgiving week. So,
There goes November.
options are we could either skip November and just decide just out of band updates. I do want to still get the survey out. If people find updates from the respective departments, let me know. Or we can just continue and say meet on the 3rd, knowing that Yash would not be available.
I'm good with either. All right.
Angela and Jay, are you available on the 3rd?
I can do the 3rd.
I believe so.
So we can have a quick touch base, I guess, yes, and at
Yes.
least then that'll make sure that you have what you need for the survey.
Yeah, let's do a quick text space. Try to make it a short meeting.
What time?
It's 6:30. Is that okay?
6:30.
When is the town meeting?
It is
It's the
October
end of October.
27th.
The week before.
27th. Okay, the week before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll schedule that for 6:30 p.m. on November 3rd. Okay, great. I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
Please, someone. I haven't even eaten dinner.
Oh no. Okay. Let's go around the room. Yash,
Aye.
Orla,
Aye.
Angela,
Aye.
and likewise, aye. Unanimous. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your October, and hopefully we'll see everybody at town meeting. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it. So should be a great meeting.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
everyone. Bye.
All right, bye.